Good morning, Santa Clarita. Welcome in. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi Charter Schools, Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. I'm Matt Watson with my co-host, Sara McDaniels. Sara, how are you?
I'm doing great, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing okay. My shoes don't match my shirt today, and I'm a little bummed. So I'm going to keep them here under the counter. And to my listeners out there, who are you judging? You're wearing sweatpants at best, right? That's not the one, but there's a lot of rays of sunshine poking through these clouds these days, and wearing sweatpants and a coffee stained t-shirt to work every day is kind of nice.
I'm looking forward to getting back to that, I'll tell you. And you know what? My shoes do match my shirt today.
You look fantastic, Sara. You do. And you've been wonderful with us here this week. I really want to thank you for stepping in for Amber. Well, she's been away, but I know she's been listening. Good morning, Amber. We miss you. Mm-hmm. We are now well into week 3 of Safer at Home, and by all accounts, although I know that we're always 2 to 3 weeks behind our actions when it comes to statistical data, but it looks like we are bending that curve. So keep it up, awesome town. Keep it up, Southern California. Keep it up, America. We've got to keep our people healthy and help support the rest of our friends around the world. But we are here locally to help you and your students as we settle into this new normal. I do believe that we are turning the corner historically, and that we're not going to go back to the old normal. We're going to go back to a different normal. I believe that our world is changing. Our world changes because of a lot of things. It changed radically with the invention of the microprocessor. Our world changed radically after World War I and again after World War II. And sometimes we change by genius, sometimes we change by design, sometimes we change because we're absolutely forced to. And that's what I want to do. I want to challenge you. We're all struggling to make sure that we and our loved ones survive during this time, but I want to challenge you guys. Yes, you're going to survive, but don't just survive. Change, adapt, make this world amazing during this unstable time, and then it'll be just that much more amazing as we come out on the other side. He's spinning some 80s tunes and he's playing with some kids, but I think of our guest yesterday, Sara, Graham, the driveway DJ.
So great.
Absolutely, just a beautiful thing. If you weren't able to listen yesterday, Graham has got a business. He's a DJ. He plays weddings. He plays quinceañeras and bar mitzvahs and things like that. And so you think he's the first one that's out of work right now, right? Well, he figures he's got this DJ equipment and a ton of time on his hands, and the neighbors down the street have a bunch of kids that are bored and need to get outside. So he rolls up at the end of your cul-de-sac and pumps the tunes, gets the kids dancing, gives you a chance to maybe get inside and, use the restroom or take a shower or hang out in the driveway and dance and party with your kids and your neighbors. And
that's
such
what
a
I'd
beautiful
be doing.
thing. And man, for the price, you can't beat it because he's doing this for free. Now he does have an opportunity on his website to donate because, he's got to feed his family as well. But he's doing beautiful things. He's making this world a better place. He's shifting, he's growing, he's adapting, and that's what we all need to do. And hopefully that's what we're here to help you do. We've been collaborating with KHTS here, your hometown station. We're so grateful for the space that they've provided us and collaborated with SCVi Charter School and iLEAD Schools to bring you this special edition of Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. We're here to help guide you through this time, to support you and your kids as you maintain the growth and the learning, and we're also here to help you take care of you. We are here each morning at 9 a.m. providing support, updates, answers, and help on this homeschooling journey, this distance learning road that we're on. And we're also continually growing and curating, adding new resources for you to reach out to at homeschoolingAnswers.com. We've got a website up called homeschoolingAnswers.com. We're trying to provide the resources that we feel that you need the most. And if you are not finding what you need, you can just email us at homeschoolinganswers@ileadschools.org. email me at homeschoolinganswers@ileadschools.org, and we will get those resources up for you as soon as possible. We've got a great show today. In fact, we've got one of our most recent contributors to that website. I don't even know that his material is live on that website, but if it's not, it will be up there real soon, and I'm excited about what he's ready to share with you. We're going to be visiting with Ian Johnston, expert drama and arts educator, and you're not going to want to miss this one. If you're watching on Facebook Live, you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. But Ian's got some amazing resources to help us engage the arts for our kids. And if we ask nicely, he might be willing to play with these deck of cards that I've got here on the console. Are you watching us on Facebook Live? You'll notice I've got some playing cards here. And even though Ian is miles away from us in the studio, he's in the comfort of his home with his family where we all belong. We might be able to talk Ian into to playing with us a little bit later on in the show, because this guy is wicked amazing. We'll also be talking to Bob Sheritz from the Way Out Recovery SCV, talking addiction in the times of coronavirus. We'll check in with our show's official licensed marriage and family therapist, Christina Debray, who helps keep us mentally healthy. So important. We're all working on our physical health. She's working on our mental health. And we'll also continue our study of the 7 Habits by Stephen Covey. We're on habit number 4 today. So let's do this. Let's get into it. Our regular listeners on Eye in the Valley know, Sarah, they know how I love to celebrate the holidays, right? And you guys know we've got a bunch of them that we're celebrating today. Today we've got several holidays that we're celebrating that you may also be able to celebrate with your kids at home. Did you guys celebrate April Fool's Day yesterday? Did you guys prank your kids a little bit? You know, I saw one on Facebook that was just too wicked, especially given the announcement that Governor Newsom made, and somebody posted something about kids repeating the year this year, and it was just not nice.
No, not nice
nice.
at all.
And kids, not true. Not true. You're working at home hard, and not only are you going to pass, I feel like your teacher loves you and might give you an A. But our regular listeners know we love to celebrate the holidays. And you know what today is, Sarah? Today is National Peanut Butter and Jelly Day.
Okay.
It is World Autism Awareness Day.
Oh, important.
National Burrito Day. National Reconciliation Day, and National Ferret Day. So we've got all kinds of reason to celebrate. So maybe you have burritos or a PB&J for lunch, you know, with those party hats on, of course. Maybe your family does a deep dive and you do a little project-based learning today on autism to see what you can learn about autism, what it is, how it affects people, and how you can support. Or maybe you reach out and mend a broken relationship for National Reconciliation Day. Or for National Ferret Day, you know, for National Ferret Day, yeah. Our first guest, Ian Johnston, is an actor and a veteran educator. Throughout his career, he's taught the International Baccalaureate theater syllabus and programs in, get this, in 30 countries. He's a brilliant and innovative educator with a depth of global experience that is simply unparalleled. In class, Ian gives his learners the opportunity to experience immersive theater and create their own ensemble productions. As an actor, he has West End and Off-Broadway credits as part of his outstanding resume, and he's got plenty of other talents like I alluded to before. Ian, good morning. Welcome in.
Good morning, Matt. That's a lovely interview and lovely welcome. Thanks for the mentioning me in line with ferrets.
Hey, no problem. I got you, bud. All righty. Well, first things first, Ian. I know you're from England, and our fans are picking up on that on your accent. How are you and your family here in Santa Clarita holding up, and how are your folks back home doing?
We're doing fine. It's been a period of readjustment. I think we've all gone through that. After the initial toilet paper Armageddon, we managed to sort that out, and we've got our stores in. We're staying safe at home. We've got into a routine now. Now we know that this is going on for a while. We've managed to put in structures in place, and I think that's really important. So we're not sort of getting under each other's toes all the time and things like that. And we're making sure that we go out and we do walks and we keep healthy with appropriate social distancing. Home in the UK, I don't know if you've heard, but they've got slightly stricter restrictions than us. They are only allowed out once a day to to do walks or something like that. So there's a lot of dogs that are getting a lot of exercise in the UK at the moment, and there's a whole raft of things that they've put in place in the UK to try and curb the spread of COVID-19. My mum, she lives in an assisted living area in a little kind of apartment, and she's been told that she's not really allowed out for 12 weeks just because she's an elderly lady, and she's also in the high risk category. So she's getting things dropped off. People are sort of dropping things off and then walking back, and then she's spraying everything down fastidiously. So yeah, I think we're doing, as a family, we're doing okay. It's interesting to watch how different countries and different states are handling this crisis. But yeah, I think we're good in California.
I think you're right. It's remarkably interesting to see the different responses. Gosh, even in my own small extended family, it's interesting to see how different folks are responding. So we will definitely make sure that we keep your mom in our thoughts and in our prayers as well as the rest of you out there. Ian, I know you've got some extensive experience in education. In fact, we mentioned an educational resume that hardly seems commensurate with your very few years. You're still a young man, but you've got some incredible experience. Can you tell us a little bit about your background in education? I also know that you're very well traveled. Can you share a little bit about your experience and background with our listeners?
Sure. First off, thank you for saying that I'm young. I don't believe that. That's very nice of you. Yeah, sure. No, I've been in education for about 25 years, and I started off in the United Kingdom working at drama schools. So once I graduated from drama school, I started teaching stage combat in drama schools, and I was very lucky that the man that taught me was a relatively famous practitioner called Mike Loads. And if anybody's ever watched any of the History Channel programs where they reenact things, he's responsible for most of those. And he did this wonderful series called The Weapons That Made Britain, where he looked at things like longbows and the effect that those had on history. So I had a great teacher there, and that got me into teaching. And then I decided that I needed to expand my resume of teaching, so I started learning specific skills that I could then deliver. So I started off in drama schools, and then I went to schools. And when I got into schools, I started teaching secondary. And then from there, I met my partner, and we started traveling. And the first place we went to was Latin America, actually. We went to Uruguay. And whilst I was in Uruguay, I touched down in Uruguay. I had no Spanish. I had no real into the culture. So it took me a while to orientate and learn the language. But then I started teaching in several local schools there. And I started teaching drama immediately. And I started working for the National Theatre of Uruguay as well, which was a very, very lovely time. So from there, that got me into the International Baccalaureate. I started discovering what the International Baccalaureate was, and I was hooked immediately. Really, really enjoyed it. And since then, I've been sort of globe-trotting every between 2 to 5 years. We've kind of upped sticks and moved around. So we started off in Uruguay, we moved to Chile, and then from Chile we moved to Norway. We had a year in Norway, and then we moved to Portugal, and then from Portugal we went to Malaysia, and then from Malaysia we came back to the UK for a sojourn in the UK, and then now we're here in sunny Los Angeles. So that's the kind of journey there, but also within that, I work for a company, or I have worked for a company called ISTA, the International Schools Theatre Association, which does international baccalaureate specific trainings. And using them and working with them, I've travelled to over 52 countries, delivering workshops in drama skills. So yeah, I mean, I've always travelled, and I've always loved travelling. So I'm really lucky, because that enabled me to go to France, Germany, Belgium, the Czech Republic, Singapore, Thailand, Oman, Dubai, India, lots and lots of different places. So yeah, that's a little bit about my educational career.
Yes, it's truly admirable. First of all, a lot of us think, man, I'm so jealous of that passport that you must have, but I've got kids, and that really gets in the way of travel. But you've been doing most of this travel with your 2 kids in tow, and they've benefited as much as you have, haven't they?
Well, I have 3 children, actually.
Oh, 3, that's right. I forget about the little one.
Yeah, we have 3 children, and we we started traveling, and then they came along on the travels. And they were all born in different countries. So the oldest was born in Uruguay, the middle child was born in Chile, and the youngest was born in Portugal, which makes it incredibly hard every time the World Cup rolls around.
So do they speak their native tongues? Do the older two speak Spanish, and the other one speak Spanish kind of funny? That's the way I describe Portuguese.
Actually, the youngest one, because most of his formative years were in Malaysia, the first words that he spoke were in Chinese.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but they have an into languages, but because we've moved around so much, most languages they learn, they then kind of discard us and slough off as we go to somewhere else. But the eldest is still learning Mandarin, and the middle child is going quite well with French at the moment. So they do like languages, and they do realize how important languages are as well.
Yeah, well, that's great and a phenomenal experience for them. You know, Ian, you mentioned the International Baccalaureate, and some of our listeners might not be as familiar with that. I do want to get into the amazing art resources you have, but in a couple of seconds, can you kind of sum up what IB, what the International Baccalaureate program is about?
So it is a program that is studied throughout the world. It's probably what we like to kind of refer to as the Rolls-Royce of the education system. It's a really very comprehensive system that helps learners develop in several areas rather than just specializing. Like, for instance, in the UK, a lot of the time we would specialize. By the time you get to 16, you're studying 2 or 3 things. The IB has a kind of broader sort of remit, and you go in depth into 6 main areas. You study languages, you study sciences, you study maths, you study humanities, and you also study the arts and the sciences, and you also have to do a program where you look into working in the community, where you look at being creative, doing service, and you also learn critical thinking as well. And all of these skills come together to form something called the International Baccalaureate Diploma. And that's the kind of the end product. There's the middle years program and the primary years program as well. So if you're in a school that does them all, you're kind of invested in this way all the way through. And it's very similar to a lot of the ideas and ideals that iLEAD have and hold dear. So it's copacetic. It works.
It is. It's a phenomenal program. The way our kids learn to think and dig deep and investigate, the skills that they develop at SCVi through the IB program are fantastic. So you were traveling around the world, and how did you find our tiny little hamlet here in Santa Clarita? How did you find iLEAD, Ian?
Well, I was working in London at the time with ISTA. I was doing an IB-specific course called TAPS, which is the Theatre Art Symposium. Mm-hmm. So every year we run these courses for students around the world, and they all descend upon wherever this course is. And this year it was in London, in the West End of London, and I think we were in the Dominion Theatre running workshops. And I had a group of students from around the world, and 2 or 3 of them were from SCVi, from Santa Clarita. And there was this lady that was watching very keenly and very shrewdly from the sidelines, and I noticed that she kept coming into the classes with frequency, and that's fine because we have like an open door policy, but she was very keen and watching everything we were doing. And then afterwards she came up and talked to me, and it was Amber Raskin, and she said to me, I don't suppose you'd be interested in coming out to California and doing some of this. So I said, well, let's have a look at that. So I did a little visit out. I did a reconnoiter. I brought my eldest son out, and we had a look, and then from there we had conversations which resulted in me moving out here. Yeah,
you know, Amber is typically my co-host here, and I know how tenacious she can be, and when she sees something that she wants, she definitely goes after it. And what a terrific addition. We're grateful to her for finding you, and grateful to you and the rest of your family for coming out and joining our team. Now, Ian, you've got a rather interesting and exciting role, both with SCVi as well as the iLEAD organization. So can you tell us just really quickly what you do for our Castaic campus, SCVi, as well as the rest of our schools? For our listeners that don't know, we've got several locations up in Lancaster. We've got a location on the west side of the Santa Clarita Valley, SCVi, that we've been talking about. Also on the east side of Santa Clarita Valley at iLEAD Agua Dulce. So what do you do for the flagship campus in Castaic, and then what do you do for the rest of our schools, Ian?
So my remit within SCVi is as a theatre teacher and an artist in residence. So I predominantly teach International Baccalaureate Theatre, which is a hugely enjoyable program that all the kids that do it, they love it. So we study theatre traditions from around the world. We study practitioners that have made drama what it is today. We research into different performance types and genres. And that whole thing culminates in solo performances, which is really magnificent to see the learners step up and do that. I also teach design techs in SCVi, so I go into the middle school there and I deliver small workshops or 6-week units on things like improvisation, clowning, comedy, commedia dell'arte, stage combat, those kind of things, skills that I've got that I'd like to teach on. I also help with the CAST program, which is Creativity, Action and Service. So, for instance, I took the learners out on a night hike a couple of weeks back through the Devil's Punch Bowl, the state park, the Devil's Punch Bowl. We did a moonlight hike, which was great and really very enjoyable. And I also teach critical thinking. I teach the Theory of Knowledge course, which is part of the IB, which is very, very important and very dear to me, where the students and learners are challenged to look at what information they're being given and looking how that information is delivered and what makes knowledge. It's a fantastic course. So that's what I do at SCVi. Further away, I've started working at the satellites like Agua Dulce and also in Lancaster, and iLEAD's very exciting Empower program. And I've been delivering sort of bespoke units of drama there. So in Agua Dulce, we did a unit on Greek drama and democracy. That I believe you had a little bit of a hand in that as well, didn't you, Matt?
A little bit, yeah.
So that culminated in the students putting together a play in the Greek style, complete with masks and a Greek chorus, but using things that were modern and meant something to the learners as part of the PBL project. In Power, I'm working with a lovely group of people who all have different things that they'd like to do, but most of them are in performance, so I'm working on getting their performance up to performance level, which is hopefully going to culminate in a cabaret and variety thing.
Nice. And that's our Center for Pregnant and Parenting Teens, and at Lancaster?
Yeah. And at Lancaster, I've been working with the drama teachers there, helping them develop arts integration into the everyday classes that we have, the sort of general classes that we have. But also, I've been working with Sara there to develop a stage combat class so the kids can put together a musical with some combat in it so they can show their skills off to their parents. So everywhere I go, I drop in and I see what the teaching team would like, and I try and thread some art through that.
That's the beauty of being so talented, is that you're so easily adapted to whatever each school community and group of kids needs and is interested in. We're talking with Ian Johnston, expert theater and art instructor at SCVi and iLEAD Schools. We're so grateful to have him, and we're going to ask him to stick around for another break. We do have to take a couple of commercials, but I want y'all to stay tuned. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Ian, and coming up a little bit later on, we'll be talking about the dangers of addiction during this difficult time. For more information on how COVID-19 is affecting our valley, go to hometownstation.com and click on the red banner. There you'll find tips on our economy, health updates, special business hours, and much, much more. That's hometownstation.com. You're listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers with Matt Watson and Sara McDaniels on your hometown station, KHTS.
Lots of people can build websites, but there's one Santa Clarita company that specializes in designing websites for your business. Small Dog Creative. The Small Dog Creative team is made up of local designers who are hands-on. Their talented team of experts build premium websites and redefine branding. Small Dog Creative doesn't just build websites. They'll upgrade your business's online presence and turn your business into a powerful online brand. Small Dog Creative, Santa Clarita's most innovative web and design company. SmallDogCreative.com.
Consumers Furniture Gallery will temporarily close to the public as a precautionary measure due to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, as an essential retailer to the community we serve, we're committed to keeping our store available for homeowners and business that depend on us in times of urgent needs. To set up a showroom appointment, contact us at consumersfurniture@live.com. This is the most responsible way we can continue to care for our coworkers and our customers in a manner that is healthy and safe. We appreciate your understanding as we support each other through these uncertain times.
Accidents happen, but rest assured Patterson's Collision Center is here to help. Patterson's is a family-owned and operated collision repair facility providing the Santa Clarita Valley with premium collision repairs. Patterson's prides itself on being the only California-certified green repair shop in all of Santa Clarita. They are insurance claim specialists and even offer payment plans for your deductible. For personalized, friendly service, visit pattersonscollisioncenter.com or call 294-1011 and let Patterson's Collision Center help ease your worries today.
Hi, I'm Pastor Rusty from Real Life Church with a moment of encouragement. Can I take a moment and pray for all of our frontline healthcare workers? God, would you keep them safe and healthy? God, would you help them to be knowledgeable about the diagnoses and treatments of this disease? God, would you help them to stay clear-minded in the midst of surrounding panic? God, would you deliver them from anxiety for their own loved ones? God, would you give them compassion for every patient in their care? God, would you provide for them financially, especially if they fall ill and are unable to work? And God, would you help us in healthcare to exhibit extraordinary peace so that many would ask about the reason for our hope? God, would you help us to do good and to be good? We'll get through this the way we get through everything, together.
If you would like prayer, text the word prayer to 661-270-7788.
Hi, this is Bob Schertz with the Way Out Recovery SCV, reminding you that during these unprecedented times, addiction and mental health do not take a break. If you or someone you love are struggling, please give us a call at 661-296-4444. We are open and here to help you during this time. Thanks.
Save water and save money. SCVi Water wants to help you find your fit and take advantage of conservation rebate programs that will help you save. Water your landscape more efficiently. Replace your lawn with water-wise plants. Conduct free in-home water surveys. Cover your swimming pool and more. Find the programs that fit your needs and start saving today. Visit conserve.yourscvwater.com to learn more.
That's conserve.yourscvwater.com.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. We are also on Facebook Live if you'd like to join us there. Good morning. Good to see you. If you go to Facebook and just search KHTS or KHTS Radio, you will find us there. I'm Matt Watson with Sara McDaniels, and this is SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. We're talking this morning with Ian Johnston, expert theater and art instructor at SCVi and iLEAD schools. A little bit before the break, Ian was talking about the phenomenal things that he's doing at each of our Southern California schools, as well as at SCVi. The course that he teaches, Sara, Theory of Knowledge, is one of my favorite classes to sit in on. You've never seen teenagers just sit and contemplate the deep philosophical depths of thinking the way they do when they're sitting in a TOK class. So now, Ian, thank you, first of all, for joining us this morning and giving so much of your time. I wanted to shift a little bit and talk about distance learning. Now, what we're all doing is a little bit different, whether it's working from home or just having a lot more people at home, or in your case and a lot of our staff's case, shifting from teaching in a classroom, a school, a theater, to doing distance learning. So what do you find yourself doing now with teaching your classes? How's that going? And then also the ways that you are, or maybe it's been a struggle, to support those arts initiatives that you're captaining at our other schools. How are you handling both of those parts of your role?
Well, first off, I'd just like to say that I've been really, really impressed with the way that iLEAD has transferred from physical teaching to online teaching. It happened so quickly, but so adroitly. It was really impressive to see the shift. So it's been actually a lot easier than I imagined it would be from the point of view. I mean, it's not been easy, but it's been a lot easier than I imagined it would be because of the flexibility of the teaching staff and also the students. The learners have done some incredible stuff already for me. So what we've done is we've tried to stick to the tenets of our classes. I've kept structure in our classes.
Very important.
We meet in Zoom, which I think most people are using throughout the world now. And when we were doing our online drama classes in the IB, I had the students doing practitioner workshops. So they were researching in their own time on theatre practitioners, and then they were delivering workshops. They were teaching the other learners about these practitioners, and then we were all standing so they could see us, and then they were doing exercises, and we would find a space in our home that we would do the exercises that they were teaching us. And one of the practitioners was a man called Jerzy Grotowski, who's a Polish theatre practitioner, and one of his ideas is that the via negativa, or the negative road, the idea that any artist that wants to get more creative, instead of layering on things, takes things away. So the idea is that you give yourself a restriction, and that restriction makes you more creative. And I feel that's what's happened here, is as theatre makers in iLEAD, what we've had to do is accept that this restriction of we can't contact physically with each other, and we've risen to that challenge by saying, okay, there's our via negativa, there's our negative. What's the positive of this? How can we become more creative? So we play theatre games. Like, for instance, I can tell you that we've, you may know the game Mafia, where somebody pretends to be a killer. Yeah, so what we do is we use the private chat function, and I will assign someone who's the killer in the room, and then the others go through it, and they have these online discussions, and they get very animated about who they think it is, and of course the person who is the killer is giving false information. So we have these absolute riotous sessions where we do that, and that was really good fun. We've been doing impro games where somebody will do a movement and show that on Zoom, and the other person then has to take that movement, transform it into a different movement. So we've actually got more creative in those lessons. With the lessons that I'm doing at the different sites, again, I've been tailoring. One of the beauties of using online is you can absolutely tailor. Someone can tell you what they want, and then you can do breakout rooms on Zoom. So I can take them into separate rooms and let them rehearse in separate rooms, and then dip in and out of those rooms, so I can have one-on-ones with individual students, and then we all rejoin the main group and share what we've done. So yes, it's never going to be meeting the ensemble in the space. But Peter Brook, the theatre practitioner, said the three things you need for a performance, and you need nothing else, is you need a performer, you need some kind of performance, and you need an audience. You need a space, rather, a performer, and an audience. Okay. And at a push, you can get rid of the space.
Well, the space becomes digital, yeah.
Absolutely. So we've just made that. So that's how we've kind of reacted, and I'm really very pleased the way the students have reacted. So I'd just like to tell you very quickly that one of the units we've been studying is Japanese theatre, the art of no drama. No drama is a 650-year-old tradition created in Japan. So I've had the students making masks at home, and then they wear these masks, and then they've been dancing online for me to this no drama, and we're working towards a virtual performance where I'm going to have 4 people performing and 4 people playing music and accompanying them. We'll do this virtual performance of theatre.
That is so beautiful. We were talking before we had you come in about how to make the pivot, and it's not just making lemonade out of lemons. It's saying, okay, forget wallowing on what we can't. So let's talk about what we can, and let's take that and continue to create and innovate. That's beautiful, Ian. So thank you for that. Now, with our families at iLEAD, as well as our listeners who have kids in the local district schools, our families may often struggle to come up with ideas on how to incorporate the arts. And, some of us will step back and we'll just hit the basics. Let's do some math, let's do some reading, let's do some writing and move on. But have you got any resources or ideas that you might be able to share for both our current iLEAD families as well as those not attending our schools, attending different schools?
Absolutely. So when I knew I was coming, what I did is I put together a package which is going to be available hopefully today, but if not very soon, which is deliberately tailored for everyone as a broad-based approach for everyone that wants to put arts into their classes. I realize that it can be really daunting for a non-arts specialist to try and thread some arts, especially if you're a parent at home and all of a sudden you've got these children that are expecting to do arts-based lessons with you. The good news is we all know how to do it. We just have to remember, because we were all children and we all played, and arts at its basis is playing and using creativity. So we've all got it there. But what I've done is I've created a document that outlines a page of resources, but also I've written up some sample lesson plans. So I'm showing you how I plan a lesson and how I would structure that class, and when I would deliver the information and when I would have time for them to reflect on that information. And I've also put together a project-based learning unit for anyone that's interested, and I focused that on the World War, the Great War, because I think that's another example. And you mentioned this at the top of the show, actually, Matt, that this isn't the first time that the world has been affected by something which has had so much resonance. Right. And I think we need to remember that, and I think we need to tell our learners that as well, because I think a lot of people are very anxious, and of course they're right to be anxious. But what we need to also do is place that in context. So this whole unit of PBL is like, what happened during the Great War? How can we incorporate art? So there's things like puppetry making, there's interviews, there's building periscopes to look over trenches, there's modelling a World War I trench. There's lots of good stuff there that I've put together for anyone that feels that they might like to do a deep dive into that and to have their learner create some art with them. And I've tailored the activities so you can do it with a group or you can do it one-on-one.
That's fantastic, Ian, and just such a beautiful adaptation. I really appreciate that. I appreciate not just you being able to step in and continue to provide the amazing content that you've always provided for our schools, but being a leader in making that mind shift for our kids, for your colleagues, the rest of our staff, and for our families as well.
And sharing your expertise and so thoughtfully putting together those lesson plans for everyone. We'll have those up on homeschoolinganswers.com later today, I believe, if not by tomorrow morning. The website's really for everyone, not just for iLEAD schools. And Matt, you've talked about this before, but if you've gone to homeschoolinganswers.com 3 days ago, go back, because we are constantly updating, adding more activities. We've got sections now divided up by grade level. I see a section for the arts coming very, very soon. I'm very, very excited about that. So please go back, homeschoolinganswers.com. Absolutely.
Now, Ian, we do have a couple more minutes. You and I have played in the past. You've got some other endeavors that you pursue. Are you able to share with us? Can you play with us just a little bit?
Sure. And just before we do, I'd just like to reiterate, Matt, that if anybody does have any questions, then I'm sure that website has an email there. I'm more than happy if they want to forward their email on to me to answer any questions or to help people that are struggling.
Okay, fantastic. Now, Shane's telling me we've got about 3 minutes. Is that enough time for us to play?
Not really. Not this time, no.
Bummer. So just to kind of throw it out there a little bit, Ian is not only a phenomenal educator, he's also, as we mentioned in his intro, a very, very accomplished actor, and he also dabbles in the art of mentalism that just will absolutely blow your mind. Ian, I know you're also taking advantage of the fact that you are living here in Southern California. Are you? Have you been working a little bit around? Have you been doing any entertaining lately?
Well, luckily, I'm a member of the Magic Castle, Hollywood's Magic Castle. So I have been doing some performing at the castle, but unfortunately it's closed at the moment. Sure. Obviously for reasons. And I was due in April to perform the show that I'd written for the Hollywood Fringe in the Maine, which is just a few doors down from where you are.
Right.
While I'm just talking, Matt, why don't you pick a card and just place it down there?
Alrighty.
Who knows?
All right. If
Do you
you're
want me to
watching
look at it or no?
Sorry?
So I've got a card that I pulled out of the middle of the deck. Do you want me to look at it?
Yeah, you look at it and maybe show it to Sarah while we're talking. I work at the Magic Castle, and I wrote a play called The Universe 101. And The Universe 101 is it's a play that I wrote which incorporates science and mentalism. And the whole idea of that was to kind of get people coming in and realizing that the arts can mix with things like science. So in a way, it was a nice little thing there. So we haven't really got time to do much there, Matt. But the card that you picked, you can just tell me what it is, and we'll just do a short reading on it. What is it?
Okay, that's not much of a trick, Ian. It's the Two of Hearts.
It was the two. I was going to say it was the red card, but there we are. So that's an interesting card, because I'm going to take this to a different area. I'm going to take this to numerology. If you look at numerology, Matt, the number 2 is all about union.
Right.
Which is an interesting card that you picked in that case. It's all about union. It's all about people coming together. If you look at Chinese numerology, and when I lived in Malaysia, I did look at this. The number 2 card represents 2 people coming together, and I think this is what we're seeing here at the moment. I'm seeing a lot of people looking at this crisis and saying that it's time that we came together. It's time that we got over certain things, and I think that card. Also, if you're looking at the hearts, I think that speaks for itself. Really. I would have loved to do something, but we really don't have enough time to do something. I just wanted to mention that sometimes you've just got to look at those things and realize that there is synchronicity.
We'll have you back to play sometime real soon, Ian, if you're up to it. I want to thank you so much for joining us today, and thanks for playing with us. We appreciate all you do for our learners and our families. And like Sarah said, we're going to try to get those resources up on homeschoolingAnswers.com as soon as we can. We've got a couple things to take care of, but stick around. Later this morning, we've got Bob Sheritz from the Way Out Recovery SCV and Christina Debray, our show's official licensed marriage and family therapist, and Habit 4. You're listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. I'm Matt Watson with Sara McDaniels on your hometown station, KHTS.
At Jersey Mike's, we make a sub above. Bread baked fresh, veggies served crisp, meat and cheese sliced on the spot. Then comes the juice. Red wine vinegar and olive oil blended to perfection. It's what makes a Jersey Mike sub a sub to behold. And beholding? Well, we think that works best with 2 hands. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Your Santa Clarita Jersey Mike's, a proud sponsor of Santa Clarita Sports.
MB2 Raceway, fast, high-performance kart racing at LA County's only indoor electric kart racing facility, and you're the superstar driver. Motocross legend and DEI driver Ricky Carmichael and Team Andretti Green's Brian Herta race in MB2 when they're not fighting it out for world championships, and so can you. MB2 Raceway, located between San Fernando and Santa Clarita Valleys, where the 5, the 210, and the 14 freeways meet in Sylmar. It's MB2 Raceway. Dial 1-866-986-RACE. That's 1-866-986-RACE. MB2 Raceway, where racers race.
Set your kids' creativity with a new twist on fun. Painting with a Twist, where professional artists guide your child during each painting party to create a finished work of art they can proudly hang at home or give to a loved one. Private parties, birthday parties, Friday night teen night, kids camp, daily events all summer. Visit paintingwithatwist.com, Golden Valley and Santa Clarita near Target. Painting with a Twist is your party destination for kids of all ages.
As the stay-at-home order continues through the month of April, Burger King is committed to following state and federal safety guidelines when it comes to serving you, the customer. Although in-restaurant dining has closed, pickup and delivery service continues. The current hours are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. You can mobile order through the BK app for pickup, or you can use any of the delivery services like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and Postmates. Burger King on Lyons at the 5 Freeway, now with service at 2 drive-through windows.
Experience luxury senior living at Oakmont of Valencia, Oakmont's brand new community in Santa Clarita. At Oakmont of Valencia, residents will enjoy 5-star amenities, including state-of-the-art movie theaters, spacious custom-built apartment homes, and sweeping views of the valley, all in close proximity to shopping, restaurants, and medical centers. Enjoy resort-style living, professional concierge services, a luxurious salon and day spa, and world-class dining. At Oakmont of Valencia, you'll embrace retirement in style. Enjoy impeccable service and unending possibilities with Oakmont. For details, visit oakmontofvalencia.com.
Did you know you can attend College of the Canyons tuition free? Yeah. Canyons Promise provides incoming first-time college students the opportunity to attend College of the Canyons tuition free for their first 2 years. And you don't even have to be a recent high school graduate to take advantage of the opportunity. Anyone who's a first-time college student and meets the Canyons Promise criteria can sign up. Visit canyons.edu/promise for full details and to get signed up before June 15th. canyons.edu/promise.
The Oasis treatment at the Ivy Day Spa begins with a gentle exfoliation, then rinsed away in warm showers. You're painted with a soothing aloe vera, shea butter, and coconut oil body mask. Then travel through the warm Hydro Cave chambers. The relaxation chamber completes your Oasis body moisturizing treatment with a pH balancing mist and a warm cup of tea. Feel refreshed, hydrated, and relaxed. Pamper yourself. The Ivy Day Spa, Town Center Drive.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is Matt Watson with Sara McDaniels. You're listening to Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers. So, how are you listening to us right now? Are you in your car, driving around? Are you on your way to your essential business? Are you at home? Are you one of those folks that still has a radio receiver at home? Or are you watching us on Facebook Live? If you are, hello. It's great to see you. Yes, we can see you. Right? You've got a little spurt right here on your shirt. Please wipe that off. How else are you listening? When I'm not here in the studio, I listen in the car on the radio. I also love to listen on my Amazon Echo device. And, I wasn't sure if I could get it, but just one day I said, hey, Alexa, play KHTS. And bam, up came my hometown station. And now I do it every morning as I'm getting ready. And I'm sure your Echo device just started going crazy, didn't it? And you can also download our app. Be sure to download that app. It is the free KHTS app on your iPhone and Android device. Now you can listen to KHTS wherever you are. You can also access KHTS news, social media, and more. The easiest way to get the app is by going to your Google Play or App Store and just searching KHTS and download that. I want to remind you, if these things have been affecting you especially hard and you're one of those folks most affected, first of all, know that you've got our love, but you've got our support. You've got our community support. First of all, for anyone ages 0 to 18, we've got a free breakfast and lunch for you every Monday through Friday at SCVi Charter School at the west end of the valley in Castaic, and at iLEAD Agua Dulce at the east end of the Santa Clarita Valley, and any of our iLEAD campuses. We're serving breakfast and lunch for any child 0 to 18 years old. You don't have to be enrolled in our school. You just need to want a nice balanced breakfast and lunch. You can pick up 2 meals a day, Monday through Friday, for all of your kids. Just bring your kids with you to all of our campus.
Yeah, next week, even though the school is technically on spring break, we're not pausing. We are still providing breakfast and lunch over spring break.
So important. So Juana and her team over at SCVi will... once this is all over, we'll make sure that we get you a gift card for a foot massage or something like that. Thank you for being willing to sacrifice your spring break. But yeah, every morning, Monday through Friday from 9 to 11 a.m. Hey, if you can hear my voice, then you can head over to SCVi or any other iLEAD campus and pick up breakfast and lunch for your kids. At iLEAD Agua Dulce, we do it a little later, 10 to noon. Other area schools are doing the same thing, so take a look at your local district website to see which schools are open for lunch delivery. You don't have to worry about social distancing. It's all on a drive-up basis at all of those local school locations. And if you're older than 18 and you still need a little bit of support, swing by Center Point Parkway, right there in the middle of town. Santa Clarita Grocery has got all of your grocery needs. You just drive up. Now, in order to keep people healthy, they're not letting folks inside of their store. Their staff is actually doing it for you. So convenient. They'll do your shopping for you while you hang out there in the parking lot and maybe chat with Bradley or another member of their staff. You hand them your list, they'll do your shopping, bring it right out to the car for you, and you can have the things that you need. The senior center is also doing the same things. Have you seen Bella Vita? Oh my gosh, the facility that houses our senior center is just absolutely beautiful. It is closed, however, all seniors that are registered can still drive up and receive their meal delivery once a day. And also our Meals on Wheels program is still working, where the volunteers and the good folks at the Senior Center are delivering meals to those that need it. You do need to call and register. So for those meals, you can call and register, or anything else. If you're a senior citizen and you need any kind of support, even if you don't know what you need, pick up the phone, call the Senior Center and say, I need something, not sure what it is. And the great folks there will kind of talk it through with you. Their phone number is 661-259-9444. 259-9444. I know that our local grocery stores are also accommodating by allowing seniors to enter early. They've adjusted their hours and allowing our seniors to come in, usually in the earlier hours while the rest of us are waiting outside. And that's good. It's good to see the shelves getting close to normal, back to stock. It was funny. I think, I can't remember if you mentioned it on the air or off the air, that the new run is now on hair dye. So the more essential things are
that was a secret.
back
That was
on the
off
shelf.
air.
Oh, sorry. I didn't say anything. Everything's fine, and no one's necessarily stockpiling anything. We're being good to our neighbors. So we're going to get out for another commercial for news and the latest updates, but stay tuned. Next hour, we've got Bob Sheritz from the Way Out Recovery. You're listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley, homeschooling answers on your hometown station, KHTS.
Finding the right lawyer can be a challenge, but in Santa Clarita, there's no need to search when there's Hacker Law Group, Santa Clarita's premier litigation firm. Jeffrey Hacker has represented celebrities, financial institutions, accident victims, real estate developers, realtors, contractors, businesses, nonprofit organizations, and other individuals and companies with their legal challenges. Mr. Hacker is one of Santa Clarita's leaders, consistently listed as one of our most influential. When everything is on the line and you need legal counseling, visit hackerlawgroup.com.
During this unprecedented time, Dunkin' has continually focused on the health and safety of their employees and, of course, you, the customer. Dunkin's committed to being there for you, serving in the safest way possible, following all national, state, and local guidelines. Here in Santa Clarita, Dunkin' has implemented carry-out and drive-thru services, in addition to curbside pickup. The Dunkin' in Canyon Country is open from 5 a.m. until 7 p.m., serving guests with carry-out and drive-thru services. The Dunkin' on Bouquet Canyon near Lowe's is open from 5 a.m. until 7 p.m. with carry-out and curbside pickup. Download the Dunkin' app to pay, order, and accumulate points. Dunkin' is now also available through Grubhub for home and office delivery.
KHTS, AM 1220 and 98.1 FM Santa Clarita. It's 10 o'clock. Time for national news on KHTS.
Special report coronavirus update. The number of coronavirus cases is now on the threshold of 1 million worldwide, nearly 50,000 killed. Many are safe at home, others are running toward the crisis, according to New York Governor Andrew Cuomo.
God bless America. 21,000 people have volunteered from out of state to come into New York State. I thank them. I thank their patriotism. I thank their dedication and passion to their mission.
Cuomo says New York will run out of ventilators in only 6 days. Florida officials have agreed to allow 2 cruise ships infected with coronavirus to dock in Fort Lauderdale. Correspondent Rosa Flores.
These individuals are sitting in their cabins with their bags packed, hoping that Florida will open its arms to them and that the ship will be able to dock.
4 people aboard those ships have died from the coronavirus. I'm Mike Moss. The state of Michigan is starting to see a spike in coronavirus cases, and correspondent Ryan Young reports in Detroit, medical supplies are already a shortage.
Right now, this city is feeling the pressure from the coronavirus. In fact, there are a shortage of hospital beds around this city. It's getting pretty tight. Down at the TCF Center, they're starting to build out a 1,000-bed overflow hospital. That should open next week. According to Johns Hopkins University, the number of coronavirus positive cases is now over 9,000. And there have been over 300 deaths. Sobering thoughts for this entire state.
The Trump administration will no longer ship personal protective equipment to allies overseas as the U.S. grapples with its own critical shortages of supplies and coronavirus cases continue to soar. The move comes as the U.S. has turned to other countries around the world requesting everything from PPEs to ventilators. On Wall Street, the Dow up about 1%. I'm Mike Moss.
The way we're all going about doing things these days has changed. But one thing that hasn't is Lowe's commitment to our customers during this very important time. We're here and ready to help with the supplies you need for critical home repairs and products to help keep your home safe and healthy. Remember, you can always shop online at Lowes.com and have products delivered to you. Home is as important to us as it is to you, and we're in this together.
Okay, you know how it feels when you've saved enough for that long-awaited home edition? Now imagine an addition on that addition. Whoa. That's the feeling with Capital One, where a new savings account earns an interest rate 5 times the national average. That's right, 5 times, as represented by 5 times more singers. This is banking reimagined. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Rate comparison based on FDIC national rate. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Thanks for listening to KHTS AM 1220, Canyon Country, California. K260CO 98.1 FM, Santa Clarita, California.
This is Jerry Soretti Goldman, co-owner of KHTS 98.1 FM, AM 1220, HometownStation.com. As you may have noticed, we have temporarily changed our music talk format to all news and talk until further notice. Carl and I have been personally affected by the coronavirus, and we are committed to making sure our listeners have the very best and latest information, which in turn will help all of us get through this incredibly trying time. For a few hours on the weekends, we will be running some feel-good music to help lift spirits and make you smile, even if it's just for a little bit. If an emergency arises, we will, of course, break in to give you the latest news. Please continue to social distance, check in with your family and friends, and take care of one another. Let's work together to show others that Santa Clarita is determined to help flatten the curve. Thank you.
At iLEAD Agua Dulce, we believe the most important thing a child can learn in school is who they are. Life's real tests are never standardized, which is why we've developed an individual-based curriculum that values exploration, cooperation, and creativity. As our learners grow, so do we. Our tuition-free charter school is currently enrolling grades TK through 7th and adding 8th grade in 2020. Your young learner will be immersed in a unique environment where possibility and self-discovery are at the core of every experience. The Agua Dulce campus features beautiful indoor and outdoor spaces for hands-on inspiration, including a robotics lab, a garden bed, a greenhouse, and a technology-based exploratorium. iLEAD Agua Dulce is conveniently located on the east side of the Santa Clarita Valley, just off the 14 freeway. Check out our homeschool options too. To schedule a campus tour or learn more about our programs, visit iLEADAguadulce.org. We're enrolling now. iLEAD Schools. Free to think, inspired to lead.
I never thought I'd be looking for an assisted living home until Mom got sick. Suddenly, there were questions that I didn't have answers to, and only limited time to find the answers. What facility could take the best care of Mom? Then my mother's social worker gave me a brochure for assisted living locators and informed me that assisted living locators is recommended by more healthcare professionals than any other agency.
Call Shannon at Assisted Living Locators, 544-1004. That's 544-1004.
As the stay-at-home order continues through the month of April, Burger King is committed to following state and federal safety guidelines when it comes to serving you, the customer. Although in-restaurant dining has closed, pickup and delivery service continues. The current hours are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. You can mobile order through the BK app for pickup, or you can use any of the delivery services like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and Postmates. Burger King on Lyons at the 5 freeway, now with service at 2 drive-through windows.
City Councilman Bob Keller here. Keep it tuned to 98.1 FM and AM 1220 KHTS, HometownStation.com, for the latest information regarding COVID-19. KHTS will have both national and local news and information during this unprecedented time. For more, go to the KHTS website or the KHTS Facebook page. KHTS is also available online in the free app for iPhone and Android. Continue to social distance, only going out if it's absolutely necessary, and continue to check on friends and family. With your help, we will flatten the curve and come through this stronger than ever. Thank you.
The following is sponsored programming and does not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is Matt Watson with Sara McDaniels. You're listening to Eye in the Valley Homeschooling Answers. This week, our regular listeners know that we began our study of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's an amazing book that honestly has radically changed how people lead, not only here in the United States, but around the world over the last 30 years. The book was published in 1989. It's been translated into 40 different languages and has since sold over 30 million copies. You know, the premise of it is Stephen Covey and his team studied history's most successful people and identified the habits that they have in common. And he identified 7, later on 8 things that those remarkable leaders have in common. And if we can identify those things like he did, and he really did a deep dive on each of them, we can study them and emulate them and become more successful ourselves. So why wouldn't we, right? We all want to be successful, so let's study those 7 or 8 habits that it takes to be successful, and let's teach them to our kids. You know, habits we know are developed early. I'm going to misquote him, but Frederick Douglass said something along the lines of how it's much better to raise a healthy man than to fix a broken one.
Right. Raise a healthy child rather than fix a broken man.
There you go. That's why we have you here. You're brilliant, Sarah. But that's the idea. Yeah, let's teach our kids to be successful. Let's teach them those habits. So to briefly sum up what we've looked at earlier in the week, habit 1 was being proactive. Plan your time. Take responsibility, take initiative. Remember that you're in charge of you. Don't be a victim or make excuses. Take control of the things that you can and don't overstress about the things that you can't. Habit number 2, begin with the end in mind. Figure out what you want out of this week, this year, this life, and then set goals so that you can envision those things that you want coming true. Envision what success looks like, and then chart your path from where you are right now to that end goal of success. Habit 3 we looked at yesterday. Put first things first. Prioritize your tasks, where to spend your time, and we looked at Eisenhower's matrix of urgent versus important things, and we posted on the Facebook Live feed yesterday, but it's very basic. Quadrant 1 are the things that are both urgent and important, and I remember thinking, getting my show notes together late last night as I was working. I had a bunch of stuff I had going on in the afternoon, and late last night I was putting together my show notes. Stuff that was very, very important work that I had to do, but it was also urgent. The show was coming up in just a few hours. Where we want to live is quadrant 2. That's the things that are not necessarily urgent, but they're important. That takes the pressure off and allows us to function successfully. We're talking about things like saving, planning, exercising, doing the things that we know that we need to do. If urgent things arise, we can skip a day of saving, skip a day of exercising, skip a day of planning, but we kind of don't want to. That's what helps us operate on an optimal level.
That's why you call it a habit.
Right. So that's the quadrant we want to live. Sometimes, however, we get shoved into quadrant 3, working on things that are quite urgent but not necessarily important. Somebody else's emergency or things like that. Those are the things that we want to delegate, have other people do if we're leaders, and try to stay away from that. Definitely stay out of quadrant 4 unless you need just a brain break, right? Quadrant 4 are the things that aren't urgent or aren't important. Maybe that's your Facebook time, your Instagram time, and I know in these days those things have become much more important than they have been in the past. Before it was just brain dead time or time to play around, but lately that's been the way we connect. So that might not be necessarily an example of things that are less important now. It's become more and more important. Those first 3 habits, be proactive, begin with the end in mind, and put first things first, those all have to do with independence. That's building a healthier me, an independent me. Habit 4 is where we step from independence into interdependence. Okay, interdependence, that's the way we work with others, which, by the way, interdependence, the way we work with others, rates towards the top of the list in regards to what business owners and CEOs look for in a leader. So interdependence starts with habit 4, think win-win. And we hear this a lot, and a lot of us have used the phrase, but thinking win-win is a little bit different than most of us conceive it. Even those of us that have studied it at iLEAD and in other organizations, sometimes we can confuse think win-win with some other things. You know, most of us operate, and Shane and I were chatting during the commercial break about how a lot of us operate on a scarcity model where we think that there's a limited amount of every resource, so that everything that you have is something that I can't have. Mm-hmm. There's a limited amount of money. There's a limited amount of praise. There's a limited amount of popularity. You know, you go back to high school and think, you know, what if everybody could be popular? There's no reason, there's no cap on popularity, no reason that we can't be popular, except that there are folks that operate in that scarcity model and say, if you're popular, that makes me less popular, so I'm going to drag you down and rip on you. And think about the dynamic that sets up.
It's that green-eyed monster, that comparison.
Right.
To others,
exactly.
As opposed to just focusing on the self.
And so it causes us to, absolutely, it causes us to rip others down to help elevate ourselves. And I got to tell you, that's no way of leading a highly successful life, especially in these times. We have seen, you know, we cannot get into you know, every medical mask that you have is a medical mask that I can't have. Every bit of health that you have is health that I can't have. Not true. So we've got to think win-win, okay? We realize that there is enough resource to go around. There's enough for everyone, and you know, we could sit here and cite countless studies about how there's way more than enough food in the world to go around. Mm-hmm. There's more than enough resource. There's more than enough time. There's more than enough implements of health and care. I know we keep hearing about shortages of ventilators and of other essential medical supplies, but you know what? It doesn't have to be that way, and people are stepping in. How many stories have we seen about people that make beds and are now making medical masks, and people that build, well, they don't make catalytic converters anymore, but people that are building cars, making ventilators and things like that.
Or being resourceful with it. I was listening to KHTS this morning, and they were doing a replay of Governor Newsom's talk from yesterday, and it is, I want to get the company right. I want to say, is it Virgin Atlantic? I think he was talking to, they're going to create a bridge ventilator. So it's not as complex as the ventilators that are highly needed right now, but they have the capacity to create a whole bunch of bridge ventilators that will help prolong the need and help us get through.
Fantastic.
So just being inventive with it.
Fantastic. You know, my listeners know I'm a sports fan, and in sports, in order for me to win, you've got to lose. But in life, it doesn't have to be that way. You know, other people don't have to lose or suffer in order for me to get ahead. We can all get ahead together. Okay, that's thinking win-win. Here are a couple of examples. So let's look first with your kids, and this one may seem a little bit more obvious, but think about grades. You know, I was always really competitive. And I remember my 8th grade history teacher, Mr. Tavares. I loved Mr. Tavares, but he set up a competitive win-lose system, not what we're looking for, in his history class, where he had a top 10 of all of his students. And we would vie, and we would compete to see who was in the top 10 of highest grades. But, you know, it doesn't have to be that way. If we're thinking win-win, rather than me competing against you to see who has the better grade, Sarah, what if you and I cooperate and collaborate, we become study partners, and that way we both do better than either one of us would have done had we competed, right? We study together, and we both get excellent grades. We both get into Harvard or whatever it might be. And for an adult example, I use this, you know, when I used to counsel young men, I would work with guys who were newly married, and I would advise them, you know, oftentimes we operate in that scarcity model of love and resource and support. And you know, I as a husband, you know, I would never mean to step on Vinny's toes, but I'm gonna just play the role that you and I are a couple. You know, as a husband, I may oftentimes guard and make sure that my needs are being met. I want to look out for me, because if I'm not making sure my needs are met, they might not get met. And then you, as a wife, do the same thing. You start to guard and make sure that your needs are getting met, and you're looking out for you, and that puts us at combat, right?
Right, or some sort of tug of war over there's only so much love to go around.
Exactly, and if you're getting what you want, then I'm not getting what I want. But let's shift that mind into a win-win now. We go from that nervous marriage to that perfect marriage example of when my goal as a husband is to make sure that your needs are met, then you feel fulfilled. You have zero insecurity about your needs being met. You know that I'm always going to be there to make sure your needs are met. And that frees you up to do what, Sarah?
Meet your needs.
Absolutely. So where my goals are to just pump you and fill you full of love and make sure that you're taken care of, and your goal is the same, how much better of a relationship is that? And you know, the way we were designed as humans and to interact, you as my partner, in this hypothetical case, do a much better job at providing for my needs than I do, and vice versa. And so that's the idea behind a win-win.
And it goes for all relationships: teacher-student relationships, parent-child relationships, colleague relationships. Finding those win-wins are a way to build each other up, and we all get there further and faster.
Absolutely. And we actually become more successful than we would if we focused on that I'm going to win regardless of what the cost is. And I mentioned that this gets confused with other ideas. Win-win is different than compromise. And you know, compromise is important. There are times we can't all get the ideal. We can't all get what we need, and so we do compromise. But this is a little bit different. For example, great example of win-win that we heard yesterday. I already mentioned him once this morning, but I got to prop up my man Graham, the driveway DJ. Talk about a win-win. He could have just thrown his hands up and said, you know what, I'm filing for unemployment, which is very important. If you're out of work or if your hours have been cut, do definitely file for unemployment. But Graham could have thrown his hands up and said, woe is me. You know, coronavirus got me too, not physically, but economically. But he didn't. He said, you know, I've got this great sound equipment sitting in my garage, not doing anything, and right around the corner we've got a bunch of kids that are bored out of their skulls. And he thought win-win and opened up drivewaydj.com, and he's now entertaining kids. And you know, it's not always easy, which is why these are highly effective people that are able to think this way. Like I said, it's not always possible. It's not always easy. But when you're dealing with others, when we seem diametrically opposed, who are we going to choose? Are we going to choose this person over that person? Stop and pause and think. Is there a win-win here? It's not always possible, but oftentimes it is. Think creatively, because you know that's what's made our nation amazing. That's what's made Santa Clarita amazing, is that opportunity to think win-win and think, okay, where is that opportunity to create something beautiful? It's the foundations that our country and our city were founded on. So let's look to do that. We do have to get to some commercials, but I want you to stick around. When we come back, we'll have Bob Sherritt's on the line from the Way Out Recovery SCV, and later we'll be checking back in with our show's official licensed marriage and family therapist, Christina Debray. For more information on how COVID-19 is affecting our valley, please go to hometownstation.com and click on the red banner. There you'll find tips on the economy, health updates, special business hours, and much, much more. You're listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye in the Valley, Special Edition, Homeschooling Answers. I'm Matt Watson with Sara McDaniels on your hometown station, KHTS.
Hi, this is Wendy Hassenflug, yoga and wellness entrepreneur. I'm excited to share one of the best kept secrets in Santa Clarita. Top Out Climbing Gym is one of my favorite places. Rock climbing is exceptional for building upper and lower body strength, and it improves your flexibility. Almost anyone can rock climb, and you don't have to be super fit to climb. You'll build strength and stamina while having fun at the same time. Get over to Top Out Climbing Gym in Center Point and challenge yourself to new heights.
You see so much when you look at your child. A creative spirit that surprises you every day. Curiosity that develops into exploring unique passions. A little leader growing every day to discover who they are, what they love, and how they can make their mark on the world. At SCVi, we see those same amazing things. Our tuition-free K-12 charter school gives your child boundless opportunities to think critically and imagine freely, with a customized learning program built around each individual student. As iLEAD's founding school, SCVi combines an immersive approach to traditional subject learning with extracurricular activities, including STEAM, robotics, theater, music, and sports. SCVi has the only international baccalaureate program in Santa Clarita, with a 10-year proven track record of graduates excelling at top universities. And we're in your backyard, just off the 5 freeway in West Santa Clarita Valley in Castaic. For enrollment information or to learn more about our program, including homeschool options, visit iLEADSantaClarita.org. iLEAD Schools, free to think, inspired to lead.
During this unprecedented time, Dunkin' has continually focused on the health and safety of their employees and, of course, you, the customer. Dunkin's committed to being there for you, serving in the safest way possible, following all national, state, and local guidelines. Here in Santa Clarita, Dunkin' has implemented carry-out and drive-through services, in addition to curbside pickup. The Dunkin' in Canyon Country is open from 5 a.m. until 7 p.m., serving guests with carry-out and drive-through services. The Dunkin' on Bouquet Canyon near Lowe's is open from 5 a.m. until 7 p.m. with carry-out and curbside pickup. Download the Dunkin' app to pay, order, and accumulate points. Dunkin' is now also available through Grubhub for home and office delivery.
Dutton Plumbing, it's Eric.
Son, it's Mother. I was thinking, son. Wait a minute. Cut, son. I'm coming into your sound booth.
Mom, what are you doing?
I don't think we need a commercial. I want to let everyone know that we're open for all the usual services, but that we also care about what's going on.
You know, you're right. There's doctors and nurses out there I want to thank, along with the police and the firemen.
And as a mother, I want to remind parents to teach their kids to wash their hands more often and use plenty of soap.
Even our plumbers are using extra safety devices like gloves, booties, and use disinfectant on all the surfaces they touch. And you know, that's a good idea for anyone interacting with the public right now.
I just want us all to stay safe and healthy. And that they can call us for anything they need right now.
That's why I love you, Mom. You think about our customers first. Give me a hug.
Son, social distancing.
DuttonPlumbing.com. Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is Matt Watson with my co-host, Sara McDaniels. You're listening to Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. Joining us now on the phone is Bob Sheritz from the Way Out Recovery SCV. Bob Sheritz has been the program director and community outreach specialist for both residential and intensive outpatient with adult and adolescent populations. He's been providing drug and alcohol counseling and education services to various locations and facilities for the past 11 years. He's a certified addictions treatment counselor and the California Association of Alcohol and Drug Educators, with the California Association of Alcohol and Drug Educators, forgive me. Bob has presented on the subject of addiction in many of its facets to organizations on both a professional and voluntary basis. Thank you for that. Some of the organizations he's provided services to include Henry Mayo Newhall Memorial Hospital, Providence Holy Cross Hospital, Santa Clarita Bar Association, Canyon High School, Hart High School, Saugus High School, Go Centurions, KHTS AM Radio, Valencia Pediatrics, California State University Northridge, Go Matadors, and Los Angeles Pierce College. He also facilitates weekly multifamily groups as well as various workshops throughout the community. Bob brings a unique perspective to his work in the Santa Clarita Valley as he has been a resident here since 1976. He's an OG. Having grown up and struggled with his own addictions locally, he has a passion to carry the message of hope and recovery in his hometown. Bob, welcome in. Good morning.
Well, thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Matt. How are you guys doing? Good?
We're doing well. We're keeping our healthy and safe distance, but both of us are feeling strong.
Yeah, good. Yeah. You know, one of the things I've noticed out here in Santa Clarita is most people are really doing okay with this. You know, we are a strong community, and we're from a distance, we're banding together. Isn't that, you know, kind of a cool byproduct of what's going on, you know?
Yeah, it is. It is beautiful. And you know, you've been out here longer than I have. Our community has a way of doing that. Now, the fork in the road is coming up here really soon where this is going to start to wear on. And we are either going to turn to where we start to get fed up with this, or we turn and say, okay, this is what it is, and how do we go from now this being the new norm to us performing and really hitting our stride and just moving forward with this and continuing to be the same incredible community we have been, but just with a new paradigm?
Well, I certainly would never intentionally wish this on anyone, but now that we're here, I almost want to say, here we sit in front of us with a choice, right? We have this great opportunity to persevere and learn some new tools in a situation that really could drive us nuts if we let it, right? But we're sitting here with a choice, and it's not just going to be over tomorrow. We're going to be here for a little while, and so we better start thinking about, okay, what am I going to do to maintain my sanity? And almost everybody that I come in contact with is, how am I going to maintain my sanity, and how am I going to maintain my sobriety? Because, Sarah had asked me before I came on offline, how's business at the way out? And I tell you what, people are sitting at home with this stress, and stress is the exacerbating factor for addiction. And if you're sitting at home with an addiction issue in the middle of this stress, now is the time to really implement some tools, because our phones are blowing up because people are sitting at home stressed out with nothing to do but drink and use drugs if they're addicted. And so people are getting really, really stuck on these drugs and this alcohol quick sitting at home. So we're getting a lot of calls. But again, back to the statement, right, is we're facing an opportunity to really utilize the tools that we're learning, prayer and meditation, exercise indoor or in your backyard, or if you're going to go outside, maintain a big personal space between you and the next person. And if we do that, I think we're going to emerge from this thing stronger.
Absolutely. We can, like we said, with all things, we can use this this time as an excuse or danger or opportunity to fall deeper into our addiction, whether it be drugs, alcohol, gaming, gambling. There's all different kinds of addictions. Or we can use this as an opportunity to say, okay, the world has changed radically. What about me? I can use this as an opportunity to change some of those addictions and bad habits radically. So you all at the Way Out SCV, you are continuing to provide services. You're continuing to treat folks, even though we're going through this safer at home protocol?
We absolutely are. It took us a couple of days to get everything changed over to virtual meetings and virtual groups and virtual individual sessions, but we were able to do that really without much of a hitch. There are some wonderful platforms out there for meeting and still maintaining what's called HIPAA compliance, which means confidentiality, basically.
Sure.
So we are able to use a couple of different platforms and provide confidential groups. And there's an interesting thing that's happening is that our group that was already with us are even more connected now than they ever have been, because in addition to the virtual groups, we're encouraging them to call each other multiple times throughout the day and connect with each other. And it's an interesting thing that's coming out of that is people are actually talking more than they did before. So the answer is yes. We're providing services, we're taking intakes, we're doing all of that stuff.
That is really interesting. Bob, I'm an educator, been a teacher for over 25 years now, and I, Benjamin Franklin talked about the best way to learn something is to teach it, right? And so I can imagine the same would be true in your line of work. The best way to help support yourself through recovery and maintaining your sobriety is to become a leader and support somebody else in doing that, isn't it?
Well, and that's one of the primary tenets of lasting recovery is, we get to a point where it's always about our personal recovery. Don't get me wrong. If we don't stay sober, we can't give it away. But there's this really cool thing that happens where part of me keeping it is I have to give it away. You can't just get it and walk away from the program, because then you're stuck with yourself again. And so in order to maintain that ongoing sort of circle of recovery, you have to give it away. And we encourage that from the start. And it's neat because we've been getting a lot of new people over the last couple of weeks, and as soon as they jump into the virtual group, everybody in the group says, welcome, here's my number, can I help you in any way? Let me share my experience when I was brand new, what it was like, and here's some tools that you can use. So it's a really neat thing to see, yes.
Yeah, gosh, that is really, really beautiful, and that was one of the questions I was going to ask you. So, are you seeing kind of the same normal flow? Are you seeing an uptick, or has it curtailed a little bit of newer folks coming through your now virtual doors?
Well, it's hard to. So we're seeing a constant, a steady stream of calls. I don't know if I can absolutely attribute that to, people are at home and so they're making the calls. This time of year we get a lot of calls anyway, but some of those calls that we're getting, people are saying, look, I'm sitting at home with nothing to do and I'm worried about the state of our world. And so my drinking or drug use has gone to the next level. So they may have made that call anyway, but certainly the stress of the world that we're living in right now is increasing people's drug use and drinking.
We were talking before the break about folks that may be a little bit food insecure, folks that don't necessarily have the food, the resource to get the food that they need. And it's so important for them to remember that they need to rely on their community. They need to rely on their family, their friends, other people, and reach out and say, hey, I need some help. So, yeah, it's absolutely important to pick up the phone and reach out to Bob and his team if you think you may need some help. So, Bob, maybe I'm sitting there listening and thinking, I don't know, maybe I could probably handle this, or my situation isn't so bad. I may be drinking more than I'm used to, but it's because I'm home more than I'm used to. Or what are some warning signs that we should be looking for in ourselves and maybe those around us? Are there some warning signs we should be looking for?
Well, certainly there are. So if you are, what's interesting about drinking and drug use is I almost hate to say this publicly, but I say it anyway, the vast majority, because it's the truth, the great majority of people who drink and use drugs do not cross a line into addiction. That is absolutely the truth. Probably 80%. The studies that I've seen are roughly about 80%. But there's that 20%, and in that 20%, there are people who are sitting there who don't really know whether or not they've crossed a line into addiction. And so some of the ways that you can tell are things like this. Are you experiencing blackouts? Which is just you don't remember the things that you've done the day before. Doesn't mean passing out. It means you're fully conscious and going about your business, but you won't remember it the next day.
Sure.
Are you drinking or using more than you intended to? Are you starting to put less importance on things like family or work or finances or school so that you can do more drugs or drink more? Is it using up a lot of your time either physically or mentally? Like when you don't have it, are you thinking about getting it the next time? Do you experience any kind of symptoms when you don't have it, like you can't sleep or you get restless or you're sweaty or any kind of sickness or shakiness? And are you not able to get the same effect from the same amount that you used to drink? Now you're having to drink more to achieve the same effect. Those are some of the signs and symptoms right there.
Okay.
But it really boils down to this, is, you can't always 100% tell if somebody has fully crossed the line into addiction, but you can 100% tell if somebody has not. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. If somebody comes to you, a loved one, say mom, dad, sister, brother, and says, your drinking is really bothering me and I love you and I wish you wouldn't do it. If you have to consider whether or not to make that choice, you might want to take a look at that, because somebody who is not addicted, if somebody comes to them and says, I love you more than anything and I need you to cut down or stop this, if you're not addicted, the answer is easy. No problem. I love you too, and I will absolutely not do it. It's an easy choice if you're not addicted. But if you've crossed the line into addiction, it's not always such an easy choice, but that's an indicator of addiction too, right? So I do that with the kids. The teenagers I work with, it's hard to it's hard to say you're addicted to marijuana when you're 16 years old and you haven't really experienced any consequences from it yet. So they don't see that it's even a problem. But what I will say to them is I'll say something like, if you put on a scale breaking your mom's heart versus smoking pot, what would the answer be? And they always say, God, I would never want to break my mom's heart. I love my mom, but yet they keep smoking pot.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, it's not so
That's
much
an indicator.
Yeah, it's, a good friend of mine used to say, yeah, that's a promise that's just from the lips on out. But yeah, if it's not a follow through with the actions, then there's your true answer for you. You went down a bunch of questions there that some of us might have been listening to you and saying yes to some of those questions that you were asking. So if we think that we or someone in our family needs treatment, Bob, what should we do?
Well, so if you're not sure and you want to have that conversation, please give me a call. I'm going to put on my cell phone right now so people can call me directly, 661-383-6550. I would love to have a conversation with you. One of the things that I don't do is I will never label you or diagnose you or tell you you are an addict. I just want to have a conversation so that you can figure it out and make the choice for yourself. If you feel like you need help and you want to enter a treatment program, whether it's with us or somebody else, I will absolutely help facilitate that. And if for some reason you call me, you can't get a hold of me, we have other counselors as well. Our office number is 661-296-4444. You can also go to our website, thewayoutrocoveryscv.com, and submit for a free confidential assessment online or send me an email, and we can communicate back and forth like that. It's picking up the phone and making a call is not a commitment to going into treatment. It's just a conversation.
And yeah, that is so important because, folks on this journey might not be sure. Well, I don't know about this. I'm not sure that I'm ready to take that huge step. I love that you and your team are willing to talk people through it and ultimately allow them to make their own decisions, because it is all about making our own decisions, isn't it?
Well, I just want to meet you where you're at and then help guide you through that journey. And if you're not at a point where you think you need rehab, cool. How about you call me once a week and we have a conversation. Let's just start there. Or maybe you go see a therapist, or maybe, whatever. Wherever you're at, that's where I want to meet you, and just say that I'm here for you. The Way Out Recovery is here for you. If you get to a point where you feel like you cannot make these changes on your own, that's what we're here for.
We're talking with Bob Sheretz from the Way Out Recovery, SCV, and I wanted to repeat that contact information because I'm sure there was a couple of people scrambling around looking through the junk drawer looking for a pencil. Bob, you're so generous, so giving, and it takes a giving heart to do what you do. You gave your personal phone number, 661-383-6550. Also, the office number to the Way Out Recovery SCV is 661-296-4444, 296-4444, and the website is thewayoutrocoveryscv.com. Thank you so much. Bob, is there any other advice that you can give families at this time? This is such a critical time, and to have it exacerbated by the complications of addiction can just be tragic. Is there any other advice that you can give our families?
Well, I'd like to say to everybody, while we're in this time, let's really start to make it an opportunity to do better. Like, we have an opportunity right now to do a few things. We can experiment with new healthy foods. We can experiment with new exercise. We can experiment with meditation. We can start drinking enough water. We can start calling people and having those conversations that we wish we would have had. There's a lot of things that we can do right now while we're sitting in this thing that we're in to make our lives better. Don't just sit there and let it overwhelm you, because it does not have to. Pull yourself away from, all the stuff that's on social media and have actual conversations. One of the things that I had my clients do yesterday is I left them with a homework assignment. I said, we all have that person in our life that we wish we would call more. And now is an opportunity. And I said out loud, I go, my little brother is one that I don't call enough. I'm going to call him right now when I hang up the phone and tell him how much he means to me. I love you. I wish we could see each other more. If there's anything you need through this time, I'm here for you. So let's make those phone calls and connect with each other and start to reach out to the people that we don't talk to enough. So there's a lot we can do right now.
Yeah, that is fantastic advice. I'm reminded of, it's almost become cliche, but the idea of that Chinese character for crisis, that is the combination of the two characters of danger and opportunity. This current situation that we're in, especially when it comes to addiction, can be a time of danger, or it can be a time of opportunity. We're all breaking molds. We're all breaking from the way we used to do things. If you answered yes to a lot of those questions that Bob was asking earlier, take this opportunity to break those old addictions, break those chains, and move into a newer and higher level of life for you. Again, give Bob a call and just chat with him and talk through it with him. And if it turns out that you're right, you're doing okay, then cool. Have a great conversation with a wonderful man. 661-383-6550 or call the office 661-296-4444. Go to the Way Out Recovery, SCVi.com. Bob, I can't thank you enough for joining us this morning and for everything you do. You're such a giving guy and love the work that you're doing over there at the Way Out Recovery. We do have to take our last commercial break of the show, but I want you all to please stay tuned. We've got Christina Debray on the line, ready and queued up. She's our show's official licensed marriage and family therapist. She's going to be joining us next. And for more information on how COVID-19 is affecting our valley, go to hometownstation.com and click on the red banner. There you'll find tips on the economy, health updates, special business hours, and much, much more. You're listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. I'm Matt Watson with Sara McDaniels on your hometown station, KHTS.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
As the stay-at-home order continues through the month of April, Burger King is committed to following state and federal safety guidelines when it comes to serving you, the customer. Although in-restaurant dining has closed, pickup and delivery service continues. The current hours are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. You can mobile order through the BK app for pickup, or you can use any of the delivery services like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and Postmates. Burger King on Lyons at the 5 Freeway, now with service at 2 drive-through windows.
My name is Christina Debray, licensed marriage and family therapist, your Santa Clarita Valley trauma and grief specialist. The coronavirus and the new stay-at-home orders have changed our lives significantly. On behalf of KHTS 98.1 FM, AM 1220, hometownstation.com, here's a tip to help you with children when they are acting out. Teach your children how to verbalize their behavior by reframing it and reflecting it back to them verbally when they're acting out. For example, when your child is throwing a temper tantrum, instead of saying, "That's bad behavior," you can say, "You are doing a good job of sharing your anger with me. Thank you for sharing that with me. Let's find some words to express that anger in a different way." Stay safe, stay at home, and let's flatten the curve. I'm Christina Debray, licensed marriage and family therapist, your Santa Clarita Valley trauma and grief specialist.
Hi, I'm Pastor Rusty from Real Life Church with a minute of encouragement. How are we going to deal with the coronavirus? Most of us are filled with information and ideas and stats and studies, but we're wondering, what do we do? How do we get beyond this? Well, can I give you 3 words that always help? Love, share, and give. Find ways to find creative things to give and to share and to find ways to love and encourage people around you. Help out your neighbors by leaving some sidewalk chalk on their doorstep and saying, let's write messages to each other. Help out your friends and family by writing old-fashioned letters and encouraging them. Go by Santa Clarita Valley Grocery and drop off some canned goods, some water, and even precious toilet paper. Friends, we'll get through this like we do everything together.
If you would like prayer, text the word prayer to 661-270-7788.
Great healthcare just got easier and more convenient in Canyon Country. Facey Canyon Country is now open directly off the Soledad Canyon exit off the 14 freeway. The 37,000 square foot clinic houses Facey Medical Group primary care physicians, pediatricians, and specialists. Facey has easy 24/7 online appointment scheduling for PCPs and PEDS. For more information or to make an appointment, visit facey.com. That's FACEY.com.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is Matt Watson with Sara McDaniels. You're listening to Eye on the Valley, Homeschooling Answers. We are joined now by our newest and bestest buddy, Christina Debray. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist with a remarkable story of her own, a story of resilience and determination. She's a graduate of Cal State Northridge and Pepperdine University who practices here in Valencia. She has studied extensively, including the topics of trauma, phobias, performance enhancement, attachment disorders, suicide prevention, grief, childhood and adolescent interventions, and I'm not even hitting the half of it. She's got so much experience and background. She's got more than 18 years of speaking experience and works with medical professionals, organizations, patients, schools, parents, and business professionals. Christina, good morning. Welcome in.
Good morning.
How are you doing this morning? Everybody doing okay?
Everybody's doing good. How about you?
We're doing well. We're having a lot of fun. We played around a bit with Ian and learned about the resources that he's got to help us teach our kids some really cool and rigorous stuff in the arts. We just finished talking with Bob Sheritz about addiction and how we can get help if we're spiraling downward or even maintaining our steady addiction. And so we've been having a great show. But you know, Christina, there's a reason that we have you on every day. It is true that you're just so much fun to talk to and amazingly resourceful. But during these stressful times, you know, we're all worried about our health, right? That's why we're staying inside. That's why Sara and I are sitting so far apart from each other. That's why when you know, we leave the studio and walk down the hall here at the station, that we almost smash ourselves up against the wall as we pass somebody else in the studio. We're so concerned about making sure that we all stay healthy, that we flatten that curve. But you know, that physical health isn't the only thing that's important. It's important that we take care of our mental health as well, isn't it, Christina?
Absolutely.
So why does it seem, you know, here's that paradox, right? If I fall down and have a broken arm, or even if it's not that sudden and urgent, if I've got a chronic cough, or, you know, I just, my arm hurts when I go like this, or, you know, my knees just aren't working the way they are. We've got those physical issues. You know, we'll mention it to somebody at work. Yeah, my back is just killing me and I can't figure out why. Or, you know, I'm not sure. I've never had allergies before, and we'll mention to the neighbor, but this year all of a sudden I can't stop sneezing, and we'll chat about it. But, you know, when it comes to mental health issues, we don't always treat it the same. Why is it, Christina, that people can tend to deprioritize their mental health when we say, you know, I just feel that I'm depressed all the time? We don't share that with the guy at the next cubicle, or, you know, we don't even necessarily talk to our moms or our sisters or even our best friend about, you know, I just can't get out of this funk, and I don't know what it is. I'm really shaken up, or I'm having these horrible dreams. Why is it that people deprioritize mental health, Christina?
So I think there really are a lot of reasons why people deprioritize mental health, but I think with everything going on with COVID right now, that there are really two things that are contributing to it significantly. So what we know from Maslow's hierarchy of needs is that if we think of our needs in a pyramid, we have to get the bottom needs met consistently in order to get the needs above it met, right?
Yep.
So our most bottom needs are physiological needs, right?
Okay.
Air, water, food, shelter, sleep. And then above that, we have our safety needs, personal security, employment, resources, health, right? So right now, with everything going on, the physiological needs and the safety needs are really being threatened, okay? And then above safety needs, you have love and belonging, friendship, intimacy. That's also being threatened because of social distancing, right? Mm-hmm. And so all of these needs are being threatened. And above that, we have esteem, like respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, freedom. Okay? So you can see here now, all of these 4 tiers are being threatened because of COVID.
Okay.
And the top need is self-actualization, which is a desire to become the most that one can be. And that is often the piece that drives people to pursue therapy and mental health resources. And because the bottom 4 tiers are not being met, it's really a challenge for people. And this kind of transitions me into my second talking point, is that right now our stress response is engaged, right? So that is fight, flight, and freeze. Well, there's nowhere to run away from, right? Because we're stuck at home.
Mayor Smythe will bust us, yeah.
And, there's nothing to fight because it's this invisible war, right?
Or
as
even worse, there are people at home to fight with. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But that's to be honest, that's what a lot of us are doing, right?
Yeah. And so when we fight with people at home, that's displacement, right?
Yeah,
so we have this biological need to fight, flight, freeze. So what a lot of people are doing right now is freezing, right? So this comes from, when animals play dead, right? Because there's nothing else to do to protect your life other than to play dead.
Okay.
So this is within us right now. We're freezing, and we're just like, okay, I'm just going to freeze and pretend like I'm frozen, like I'm cryogenically freezing myself until this thing is over, right? And so that's why I've come on the show and talked about ways to engage your parasympathetic nervous system. So while freezing in the short term, right, any kind of stress response is helpful in certain situations for very short periods of time.
Okay.
The problem with this is that we are sustaining our engaged stress response, and that has consequences, right? So you see that there's a drop in IQ when the stress response is engaged. You're not as able to process because your higher levels of processing shut down, right?
Yeah.
So this is, for example, think of it like your phone. It goes on to like the battery reserve mode, right?
Yeah.
So then you can't play games on your phone. You can't do maybe video chat, right? You can only do really basic things with your phone.
And only function at that base level, not the optimal level. Good analogy.
Right.
An analogy
So,
teenagers would get.
We have talked before about how our minds have this information processing system, and that is, the cars are getting on the freeway and going to their destination.
Right.
So right now in crisis, only certain lanes are open, or there might only be 1 or 2 lanes open. And so the problem is we're not processing, and this has really detrimental long-term effects because we're not processing stuff. Lots of information is coming in, lots of things are happening, and it's just piling up. So we're becoming, in a way, like hoarders of emotional content and all kinds of memories. And that's what leads down the line to a lot of mental health problems like anxiety, depression, trauma, and trauma-related disorders.
It's interesting. You know, you and I didn't necessarily plan this, but we've been talking a lot about the show of shifting from, okay, let's get out of crisis mode and let's get back into performance mode. And that's kind of what you're talking about. Let's get out of that fight, flight, freeze, and let's get into that really cool word that Christina said, parasympathetic something or other, and start to perform. So we've got about 1 more minute left. Christina, have you got ways that our listeners can use to help take care of themselves, help get them into that perform mode rather than just freezing and denying that anything's there?
Well, all of the things that I've been talking about, the different times that I've been on, have been ways to do that. So the diaphragmatic breathing, going for a walk, anything you can do to distract yourself, right, in a healthy way. Read a paragraph backwards. Do some math problems, right? Mm-hmm. Anything that can sort of shift you into that. And not everyone's going to be able to do that, and that's why it's really important to reach out to a mental health professional when you need to. And so many people, including myself, are offering telehealth video sessions, so you're able to get that help even with all the social distancing going on.
So if I feel that I need it, is there somewhere that we can call? Do you have a phone number you can give our listeners real quick?
Yeah, 661-513-4857. Again, that's 661-513-4857.
Fantastic, and greatest mental health advice that you've given so far, Christina, is if you're in order to perform, just listen to this show every day. Christina will be with us every Monday through Thursday, helping you get through this and not just surviving, but thriving. It is time for us to wrap up, but I want to thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank our guests, Ian Johnston, Bob Sheritz from The Way Out Recovery, and of course, Christina Debray, licensed marriage and family therapist. Join us again tomorrow at 9 a.m. and every day. You're listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley Homeschooling Answers. This is Matt Watson and Sara McDaniels on your hometown station, KHTS.